Some big banker institutions sold heavily here, driving price action downwards explosively on Bitcoin. But when they sold here, did they fill all their sell orders, guys? I'm explaining right now, user. That's the structure I'm looking for, impulse, balance, impulse. When they sold here, did they fill all their sell orders? They did not. Why do we know that again? Because the only way price can go down is if there is an imbalance in order flow causing price to go down. So they placed a very large sell order. They filled some of the basing ones, but eventually there were no buyers left. They still had a huge pile of unfilled sell orders. And because there was that imbalance of more selling buyers, price went down. That's how price action occurs, leaving them with unfilled orders. So where do we look for entries, guys? Where do professionals look for entries? We never chase, never chase price after it's moving. That's what retail traders do. That's where most traps are set. Instead, we wait for price to come back so that we can take advantage of the unfilled orders and actually sell with the financial institutions, right? Sell with the banks. They have enough money to move the market. So if you understand where they sell and you understand where they buy, you can wait for price to come back and actually buy and sell with them. That is how professionals trade. Does that make sense to everyone? We do not chase price. We identify where banks buy, we identify where banks sell, and we have the patience to wait for price to come back to then see if there's an opportunity to sell with them or to buy with them. That is the foundation of how professionals trade. I have a video on how to draw zones accurately if you want. You can see it came in again. Can everyone see how it came in again, hit the unfilled sellers, and immediately rejected? Right here. This is the zone, right? That's the daily zone. This big one in the background is the weekly zone. This is where the zones overlap. Hit, rejected, and then hit again, rejected. Right? Hitting those unfilled orders and rejecting. Who thinks it's a coincidence that it's bouncing off the same level twice? It's not a coincidence. That's where the bank's selling. We're just riding their coattails, guys. That's all we're doing. Now, on the way down, we formed this continuation pattern. So we have this impulse, balance, impulse. Some big bank sold position here, driving price action down. High probability of unfilled sellers sitting up here, and that's our most actionable trade right now, right? If I get back up to that 115.703, there's a high probability of unfilled sellers sitting at that level. Again, man, I can't emphasize this enough because I've said this already like 3 times in the live since you've been in here, Imp. I don't know where they're going to buy and sell. I can see where they have bought and where they have sold. It's not prediction. It's seeing where they have bought and where they have sold and then waiting for price to come back to those levels. We are never predicting. Are you asking how do I know this is a bank buying here or how this is a bank selling here? Is that what you're asking me? Because I don't know when they will. I can see where they have. Because those are 2 different questions. If you're asking me to predict the future, that's not an ability I have. If you're saying, can I look at chart structure and say that a big bank bought here? Yes, that I'm capable of doing. But those are 2 different questions. You get what I'm saying, right? Yes, to which one, man? I gave you 2 options and you said yes. Exactly. A or B? Yes. That makes it tough, man. It works in all asset classes, brother. Banks trade it all, my man. We got upstairs on the list, man. Hopefully we'll get to it. Although realistically, I have to pee because I'm drinking all this water. How do I know? So it's based off structure, brother. The structure I'm looking for is impulse, balance, impulse. That's not very common, user. Usually there is structure at reversals. Could there not be structure? Of course there could, but that's not a common occurrence, if that makes sense. Right now we're currently on the dailies. Where would I place a stop loss? So let's say I wanted to trade this short here, right? I would look for an entry right at the bottom of the zone because I wouldn't know where inside the zone exactly the bank sold, right? So I'd place my entry as soon as it touches the zone. I would place my stop loss at the top of the zone because if I break through the zone, that zone is no longer valid, right? And every trade always has the potential to move against you guys, right? We always have to protect our downside. There's no such thing as a guaranteed winner in trading, right? We can determine high probability trades, but there's no guarantees. Is everybody with me on that? Every trade always has an inherent margin of error. So as traders, if you start learning about proper analysis, we can identify high quality trades, high probability trades, but it's still just a probability, right? Even if I have something that is a very high probability of winning, has a 70% chance of winning, 80% chance of winning, right? Like we have a whole 20-point scoring system just to evaluate the quality of a trade. Even if I have such a high potential for a win, there's still always the margin of error where it might move against me, right? 70-80% chance of winning still means 20-30% chance of losing. So we always need to protect our downside. And if the trade moves against us, we make sure our loss is very small on that trade. Does that make sense? And we look for profit targets where the bank is oppositional structure. Well, in this case, I'd have to take this into account. So that would be my profit target right there, because that's basically forming a new demand zone if this remains impulsive. Sure, line. We're going to be doing that on probably, I think we have something shorter term on this. We're going to do spot gold next. Spot gold will be more of a day trading asset. So we'll look at that as a day trader. Cool. But that's how I would structure that trade. I would have to use that as my profit target, because if this sets up a demand zone here, then that's going to be my profit target right there. So it's about a 5.8 to 1. Cool. I think crypto works better from a swing trading perspective than day trading, personally, Michigan. Cool, bang. We're going to do spot gold next. That's our next one. But first, I have to run to the restroom quickly, guys. I will be back in like 2 minutes. So give me 2 minutes, and then we'll do spot gold. We'll do a day trade on spot gold. But all that coffee and water is catching up with me. I'll be right back. All right, I'll be back in 2 minutes, guys.